The grand ballroom of the Ritz-Carlton buzzed with the attention of 300 manufacturing execs pretending not to care that their profit margins were bleeding out. Dressed in a crisp Chanel suit, courtesy of my first million, I checked my phone one final time. A market update popped up. Davidson Manufacturing had taken a 12% dip this quarter. I slipped the phone into my clutch, a slow smile tugging at my lips. Davidson Manufacturing, my family's legacy, my father's pride, and the same company he once claimed I wasn't fit to lead, the business he refused to modernize. Now, it was losing clients by the week, mostly to my company, Nova Industries. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats for the American Manufacturing Excellence Awards. My eyes scanned the crowd until I found them. My father, Richard Davidson, seated with my brother James and their executive staff at their usual spot near the stage. None of them had noticed me yet. They were too consumed by their latest crisis, whispering among themselves, looking less like titans of industry and more like cornered men. Ms. Roberts, Lisa, my assistant, leaning beside me. The press would like to confirm you're available for photos afterward, especially with the updated market share figures. Tell them I'd be happy to speak about Nova's trajectory, I said calmly, my gaze locked on my father as he scanned the evening program. I watched the moment he spotted my name on the nominees list. His posture stiffened instantly. 5 years earlier, I'd sat in his office with a comprehensive proposal in hand, a plan I'd spent 2 years crafting. I'd started on the production line and worked my way up, learning every inch of the business from the inside. My presentation detailed a full overhaul, digital upgrades, automation, eco-friendly materials, everything Davidson Manufacturing needed to evolve. He barely looked at the work. That's not how we do things, he said. We're built on legacy, not gimmicky tech. The very next day, he promoted James to CEO. My brother, who couldn't tell a lathe from a labeling machine, stood at the press conference with a smug grin. We believe innovation is overrated. We're staying loyal to tradition. Now, seated comfortably near the front with the major nominees, I watched the weight of that statement catch up to him. Since James had taken over, Davidson stock had plummeted 47%. Meanwhile, Nova Industries, my company, had seized 30% of the market in just 4 years. Welcome to the 50th Annual Manufacturing Excellence Awards. The MC's voice rang out across the room. Tonight, we honor innovation, growth, and the future of American manufacturing. From a front table, I spotted my father finally locking eyes with me. His expression flickered, from disbelief to anger, then unmistakable dread. He knew exactly what was coming. The initial awards went as expected, commendations for safety, environmental progress, and community efforts. Davidson Manufacturing didn't place in any category. Their old-school methods couldn't keep pace with today's expectations. And now, the MC paused for dramatic effect, the moment you've all been waiting for. Entrepreneur of the Year, awarded to an individual who exemplifies leadership, transformation, and industry disruption. My phone buzzed quietly. Another update. Davidson stock had dropped an additional 2% during the dinner. This year's finalists represent the very best in forward-thinking leadership, the MC continued. But one name rose above the rest. In just 4 years, this individual redefined manufacturing practices, claimed significant market share, and set a new benchmark for sustainability. I could feel the heat of my father's glare behind me. James had gone pale, his fingers clenched tightly around a sweating water glass. Please join me in congratulating the 2024 Entrepreneur of the Year, Sarah Davidson Roberts, CEO of Nova Industries. Applause thundered through the room as I stood and strode the stage. Each step echoed, a deliberate reminder of my journey from the factory floor to this moment. Passing by my family's table, I caught a few frantic whispers. "This can't be real," James muttered. "She's dismantling everything we work for," my father hissed. "The Jackson contract just pulled out," their CFO murmured frantically. I stepped up to the podium and accepted the engraved crystal award, proof that everything they had dismissed I had turned into success. The stage lights were warm, but not nearly as satisfying as the expressions on their faces in the front row. "Thank you," I began, voice calm and confident. 5 years ago, I learned something crucial about manufacturing. True innovation isn't just about new tools or efficient systems. It's about knowing when to leave the past behind. Because sometimes tradition holds you back more than it lifts you forward. My father shifted in his seat, visibly unsettled. He recognized the words. They were lifted directly from the proposal he had dismissed without a second glance. At Nova Industries, we didn't just launch a business. I said, steady and confident. We created a movement, a reimagining of what production could be while others stubbornly held on to outdated practices. I paused deliberately, locking eyes with James for a heartbeat. We embraced progress. We listened to our employees, prioritized long-term sustainability, and chose excellence over short-term gains. The ballroom was utterly silent. Every pair of eyes was locked on me. Everyone there knew the narrative. I was the underdog, the industry's outcast who'd broken away and changed everything. Our very first factory was nothing special. I went on, just a dusty old warehouse filled with hand-me-down machinery. But what we lacked in technology, we made up for in clarity of purpose. We had vision. My clutch buzzed on the podium. Another update. No doubt another blow to Davidson Manufacturing's sinking ship. I didn't need to read the alert. James' clenched jaw told me everything I needed to know. Today, Nova Industries operates 6 cutting-edge, fully automated plants. Our employee satisfaction scores lead the sector. Our environmental footprint is 70% smaller than that of conventional manufacturers. And as for quality, I turned my gaze directly toward my father, offering a cool smile. Well, the results speak louder than I ever could. The massive screen behind me flickered to life, displaying sharp graphs and side-by-side data. Nova's performance shot upward like a rocket. Clean, red lines representing exponential growth. In contrast, the blue line tracing older firms dipped steadily downward. I didn't have to name Davidson Manufacturing. The room already knew which company had fallen the hardest. But this award, I said, softening my tone, is about more than numbers. It's about proving that sometimes the most meaningful way to respect a legacy is to transform it. That the ones cast aside by tradition are often the ones best equipped to forge something new. James was hunched over his phone now, tapping furiously, likely trying to manage panicked investors who were no doubt watching this unfold live. So thank you for this incredible honor, I concluded, and an even bigger thank you to those who tried to shut me out, because every rejection, every closed door, gave me the momentum to build something greater. Applause exploded across the room as I stepped away from the podium. As I passed Davidson's table again, my father's phone rang sharply. One glance at his face told me what I needed to know. Yet another client was pulling out. Lisa met me at my table, tablet in hand. "Nova stock's up 8% since your speech," she said, eyes gleaming. "And the Jackson contract." I grinned. "Let me guess, they're ready to finalize?" The after-party was in full swing by the time James intercepted me near the champagne fountain. His tailored suit did little to conceal the unraveling happening inside. "You set this up," he hissed, keeping his voice low. "The timing, the speech, the award, the Jackson deal. This was all orchestrated." I took a sip from my glass. An aged vintage that cost more than the first car I ever drove. Planned what exactly? I replied smoothly. Building a company that works, proving that embracing change leads to success, or just succeeding despite our family doing everything in their power to hold me back. "You're killing Davidson Manufacturing." "No," I corrected, calmly placing my glass on the tray of a passing waiter. "You and Dad did that all on your own. I'm just building something stronger from the wreckage." Behind him, our father approached, his face pale and drawn. "Sir," someone from his team whispered at his side, "we need to talk. Privately." Just then, my phone lit up, 3 missed calls from Lisa. I glanced at James and my father, both frozen mid-crisis. "Actually," I said, brushing past them, "I've got something important to share. You'll want to stick around." Without waiting for a reply, I made my way to the stage where the band had been playing. The MC spotted me and handed over the mic with a knowing nod. He already knew what was coming. Ladies and gentlemen, I called out, watching as the room grew quiet once more, I hope you'll indulge me for one final message tonight. There's something I couldn't wait until morning to share. A ripple moved through the crowd as industry leaders and journalists leaned in. Smartphones raised in anticipation. 5 years ago, I launched Nova Industries with a dream of what modern manufacturing could look like. And tonight, I'm proud to reveal the biggest step we've taken toward that future. I paused for a beat, letting the silence stretch as I locked eyes with my father across the room. I'm proud to announce that Nova Industries has officially secured a majority stake in the Williams Technology Group. The room rippled with gasps and low murmurs. Williams Technology, the crown jewel of automation, and the only chance Davidson Manufacturing had left at catching up to the modern world. This acquisition positions Nova to command over 40% of the automated manufacturing sector across North America. I continued, as camera flashes erupted around the ballroom. And we're just getting started. James leaned into their CFO, whispering in a panic. The man looked like he might pass out. They both knew what this meant. As part of our expansion, I went on, my voice even and confident, we're launching a new arm of the company, focused entirely on transforming outdated manufacturing plants into streamlined, automated powerhouses. We're calling it the Future Forward Initiative. I watched from the stage as my father gripped the back of a chair to steady himself. Any company stuck in inefficient systems can now work with Nova to move into the future. And for those struggling to stay afloat, I added, we'll be offering generous financing options to ease the transition. No one missed the irony. Davidson Manufacturing had been desperately seeking funding for months, but their tanking stock price had scared off every lender in the game. Now here I was offering the very lifeline they'd been denied. And to show how serious we are about revitalizing the industry, I said, lifting my chin slightly, Nova Industries has finalized a deal to take over majority ownership of Davidson Manufacturing. The room erupted in chaos. Gasps, shouted questions, phones held high. Industry executives spun toward each other in disbelief. My father staggered back a step, almost knocking over a waiter. The agreement was signed during dinner. I explained, my voice rising above the noise. The board voted it through just 20 minutes ago. Starting at midnight, Nova will begin the process of modernizing every Davidson facility. James forced his way toward the stage, but two of my security personnel stepped in silently, blocking his path without so much as a word. And to every Davidson employee watching this broadcast live, I added, knowing the announcement was being streamed directly to all their sites. You don't need to worry. Your positions are secure. In fact, you're about to experience better benefits, higher pay, and actual hands-on training with the latest tools in the industry. Applause erupted, loud, genuine, and long overdue. For years, those employees have been begging for change, pleading for updated equipment, basic training, anything to keep pace with the evolving market. I was finally delivering it. Then I turned my gaze directly to the two men seated at the center of it all, my brother and my father. And to the Davidson family, I said calmly, thank you for giving me the most important lesson in business. Sometimes being told you're not enough is a spark that pushes you to become something greater than anyone ever saw coming. I stepped down from the stage just as Lisa approached, tablet in hand. Stock skyrocketing, she said. And the remaining Davidson shareholders? They're celebrating. Looks like your move saved more than just pride. I nodded, just as my father caught up with me near the exit. Why? He asked quietly. His voice cracked and thin. Why not just leave us to fall apart? I turned toward him slowly, remembering the younger version of myself. Eager, driven, walking the floor of his factory every day, desperate to earn his respect. Because you were right about one thing, I said softly. I was never meant to follow your lead. I was meant to build something beyond it. Around us, the room began to clear as executives pulled out their phones to call their offices. James remained at their table frozen, staring at the Davidson logo on the signage. Its presence fleeting now, soon to be replaced by Nova's emblem of momentum and reinvention. Our integration team arrives tomorrow morning, I told my father gently. Might be a good time for you and James to take that vacation you never allowed anyone else to take. He blinked at me, eyes clouded. And the Davidson name? Our legacy. I reached into my clutch and pulled out a final document, the one that mattered most. Check the fine print. I said, Nova Industries is just the operating brand. The parent company is legally registered as Sarah Davidson Enterprises. I never let go of our name. I just gave it the evolution it deserved. I stepped outside into the warm evening air. My phone buzzed again and again, messages from investors, journalists, global CEOs, and former Davidson employees who had joined Nova in its early days. They were all celebrating the full circle moment. But one message stood out. It came from an unrecognized number. I worked on the line with you 5 years ago. You knew all our names. You cared about our input. When you made that announcement tonight, the entire night shift cheered. Welcome home, boss. Sometimes success isn't just about proving someone wrong. Sometimes it's about proving to yourself that they never had the power to define your future at all.